You sleep here in this bunker. You can see, maybe you can't see, the shielding panels have fallen off from my legs, and I'm sleeping like that, trying to protect myself from my neighbors. I'm being vibrated. I have been non-stop. You can hear the hertz range beating. And there are regular brutal shots into here. I'm just being shot in the spine. Can you hear that? That was a shot to the spine. There's a different noise here, but you just heard the shot to the spine. There will be others. You can hear the scratching of the microwave. I'm actually being made to feel physically sick. Yeah, you can. This is now on my stomach, and I'm actually physically sick. Can you hear the scratching of the microwave? And those are the attacks. But you can hear different signals. So here, the metallic scratching. That's what I mean by metallic scratching. Hear the knocking. Hear another signal. Here, I'll show you. Here it's this. Here it isn't. There's a beam here. That's not here. And now if I turn around, inside here you can see the shielding does work. And those are the attacks. They are being fired into my shielding. So I was up until 5 a.m. last night, which is why I'm still in bed. But meanwhile, there was a shot to my head as well. You can literally hear your head pop when a shot hits you. So there you saw it jump up from 0.02 to 6. That's a factor of 300. This is being mutilated in Switzerland. So you can also see, oh, something else is happening now. There's something being sent here. But you can also see that here it's green. Out there it's orange. So the shielding does help a bit actually when you're dealing with beams. Now this is new, right? You can hear it's new. But the regular knocking is still there. And it's from this direction that I was shot in the spine. There was another attack. Here you have you can also tell the metallic scratching has disappeared from my stomach. Here. Because right now they're not microwaving my stomach so that I feel sick. There's the knocking, but not the metallic scratching sound. So the microwaving of my stomach has been switched off. And as I said, you can see here the panels that have fallen down. One is there, one is on the floor. And I have to literally sleep like that in a bunker every night. And it's amazing how a simple device like that actually makes a huge difference. But, I mean, now that it's light, I can show you what it looks like when I put this back up. So I have here. It looks something like okay, it's not perfect because I just, bent it back, but essentially I have to sleep under shielding like that. You get the idea. I mean, right now it's all over the show because it just fell apart, but when I put it together, so this is still kind of intact, it's more or less sealed, and it works very well. Inside here you can see it drop back down to green, right, because we're dealing with direct beams here, but there are certain signals you cannot block out because they're more diffuse. But nevertheless, when they shoot through. So, the computer tries to find points where there are gaps and it shoots through. But essentially, this is what it's like being a Jew in the 21st century. Behind my head, I've got here, this is a metal, I'm not sure if you can see, a metal pan. This is solid metal because from that direction I'm shot up sometimes. So my head is being protected like that. I have to have, sorry, the alu slipped there. Usually it's just completely covering my head. And I had to sleep like that for by now a year. And every single victim of the intelligence agencies who's being shot up by these degenerate Nazis has to do the same thing. Exactly the same thing. But one of the things you can see is that literally it has dropped down to green, 0.02 out here, right? So it does really help. I mean, there's some fluctuation, right? But if I now put this out there, you can see it goes up. Yes? Like that. So, actually, if you look at it, it makes a huge difference. Oh, and that was an attack. You didn't hear it. it would have been spectacular. But the attacks still shoot through. Right? Why? Because I think they are really powerful emitters just down that direction. Oops. And because the computer, I also noticed that when I put up shielding and they know the radiation drops down inside, I think a computer traces the outside. And then if they're smallest, wow, if they're the smallest gaps, they just let rip. And then you've got lots of back reflections in here. So I have been working until 5 a.m. last night. I have been vibrated all throughout the night. I could barely sleep. And I also know that as soon as I close my eyes, they regularly shoot into me. They literally shoot into me. So the signal you just saw that jumps up by a factor 300, because the scale is not linear, is not a normal signal. It is a military attack. It is a military weapon that is being fired into civilians, 70% women, by degenerate Nazis, because they do not care about women. I think it's because they're a bunch of military gay guys, or I don't know what. But they have convinced themselves that the population is to be exterminated, and then they just let rip. Like that. And then they use, presumably, their gay boyfriends or their pedophile kitty fucking friends in the police and the judiciary to cover their ass. And what it looks like on the ground for honest people who worked hard all their life to try to help mankind forward is that these people are taken and absolutely shot up by the degenerate Nazis in the military and the intelligence agencies. And because dumb people always like to feel better about themselves by just bringing clever people and hardworking people down, when you allow this to happen, what will automatically occur is a system of inversion, whereby the dumbest and most violent and most corrupt people end up on top, aka the police and the military and the intelligence agencies. Because certainly the military, they are professional contract killers. The intelligence agencies are groomed on deception, the ability to lie, trick people, and their need to perv on others. Do you understand now? So, if you do not help me fight tooth and claw against the Swiss authorities, what will happen to your society? Because I'm not the only victim here in Switzerland. I'm not the only victim in Europe either. There are not just thousands of people like me. The last estimate I heard in the US was that 7 million people were targeted. Targeted is a euphemism for being put on the extermination program. Now, if you don't help me fight these people, the clever and the good people are gonna die, and the dross of society will live. Do you understand? But the dross of society cannot really repair airplanes or do sophisticated mathematical calculations to work out what to do. Now I ask you, this is Zurich in the year 2017. We just watched a military attack punch through shielding. And this shielding is good enough. As you can see, I've got the green light here most of the time. Green light here. This is pretty darn good shielding. Green light. Fairly high orange light. Yeah? So we're talking pretty darn good shielding here. And you know why? Because these are 12 layers of aluminium. 12 here, 6 on this side of the cardboard, 6 on the outer side, 12 here, 12 there. That is pretty awful lot of metal. It's the cheapest form, and it's bendy, and when it drops on your head, it doesn't bruise you up, right? So I managed to get the signals blocked out here, yet you saw several attacks being shot into my body. And it's because when you fire a military weapon, for example, at an angle in there, this becomes a cabinet of mirrors. And it bounces around until it shoots into me. Do you understand? So I had to sleep for a year like that. The person who threw out my case in July was Judge Holgate. I said, and I think you can read in the transcript, that it turns out that the government is running blacklists for people to experiment on and people to kill. And that has since turned out to be true. Now, Judge Holgate didn't like this one bit. He was very impatient with me, and he threw out the case. Now, in the transcript, you can't quite hear his tone of voice. But shall we say there are means to find the audio? The High Court refused to reply to my emails, and I shall publish them. I asked them for evidence I submitted. The day after I was attacked in my London hotel, I wrote a handwritten note to the judge informing him about what pretty much looked like an attempted assassination. I asked for that evidence back, and the High Court refuses to reply to my emails. It has done so for about 4 or 5 months. Because people are initiated that there's a large-scale extermination program going. Well, that's a Nazi thing. It's a concentration camp. This is a modern concentration camp. Do you understand? And I want you to help me find the Nazis and bring the Nazis down. I need help specifically here in Switzerland, in Germany and the UK, because that's where those Nazis attack me and thousands of others. So please, think about it. That bit is very shoddy because I just pulled it up, but I sleep at night under shielding because there's a military assault on me personally as a woman in my bedroom. A military assault. Military-grade weapons. You saw them being fired, and if we wait for long enough, we'll see another shot. But this little device jumped up by a factor 300 for those shots. This is not normal. It is most certainly not normal. And as you can see, the diffuse signals I managed to block out quite well. Here, right? Which is why this thing is green here, going down all the way. You just saw it flash up. It's 0.01. This is 0.02. And if I put it here, I can reproduce it. It jumps up to 0.1. So between 0.01 and 0.1 is a factor of 10. So I managed to suppress signals by a factor of 5 to 10 by just doing this here. You see? Now, when shielding is so good that I can block out the diffuse signals by a factor of 5 to 10, And there's suddenly, as you just saw, a huge fat attack. That is not normal mobile phone traffic. That is an electromagnetic gun. Here. And that's what it sounds like. By the way, right now, I'm filming with my mobile phone, right? But there's nothing being sent on my mobile phone. And I can reproduce the results with a digital camera that has Wi-Fi. Sorry, that hasn't got Wi-Fi. That's the point. My digital camera is completely detached, and I filmed with my digital camera. For example, the shots into my kidney were filmed with a digital camera. It's online. It's called Hack Attack and Assaults Every 60 Seconds. So this is nothing to do with my mobile phone. These are the attacks, and I can feel them because they're painful. They shot into my body. And when my mobile phone is not with me filming, I can still see these jumps, and I still feel the pain when these jumps occur, right? But my mobile phone isn't here. So even though right now I'm filming with a mobile phone, it has nothing to do with it. Besides, a mobile phone should be a regular signal, like pinging, at regular intervals. However, this is not regular. Now you saw a bunch of shots, and previously you saw a lot fewer. So that's what we're talking about. Thank you for listening. And please help me and help the other women who are fighting these Nazis here in Europe and the US.